Hello nerds, and welcome to another Civilization 6 Leader Pass breakdown. Today we're starting our discussion about the great builders pack with, of course, Theodora, Ludwig II, and Sejong of Korea. Today we'll be talking exclusively about Theodora. I've decided to break these videos down into shorter, more bite-sized pieces. So today we're focusing on one leader, Theodora, who, if I can say, might be a better Byzantium than Basil II ever was. I know that's a lot. Basil II is probably the best civ in the game, especially if you're a domination-focused player. No matter which victory condition you're going for, culture, science, domination, religious victory, he's fantastic at all of them, especially if you know how to use a pillage economy. Theodora slaps. Theodora is fantastic too. Theodora was actually a staple of Civ 5. She was a fan favorite. Everyone loved this leader. This was a leader that got an additional religious belief in Civ 5, which is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. My original guess for what she might do would be something similar in Civ 6, where she would be able to get a additional religious beliefs. Say for instance, she could grab like work ethic and she could grab choral music. Lo and behold, her ability is actually better than that. But there's a lot of doubt whether or not Theodora was going to be able to be a good civ in the shadow of Basil II, who is considered one of these, if not the strongest domination civ in the game, and maybe one of the strongest civs in Civilization as a whole, because domination is such an effective means to winning the game. And that's because of his abilities here. The heavy and light cavalry units deal full damage when attacking cities following the same religion as Byzantium. He gains the Tagma unique unit with Divine Right. So remember, when we're playing Theodora, we don't get full damage to city walls with cavalry, and we don't get Tagmas. Everyone thought this was going to be what sank Theodora, but honestly, I don't miss this ability. Yes, this is a fantastic ability. Cavalry units are the fastest units of the game. Usually their biggest counter is walls. You know, Civ combat is very much like rock, paper, scissors, where you can use cavalry very effectively, but their counter is walls. But as soon as you bring in Basil into the mix, you're not playing rock, paper, scissors, you're playing rock, paper, gun. The cavalry can just smash through the walls and kill all of the units very efficiently and very quickly. This synergizes incredibly well, of course, with Crusade, which gives you a 10 combat strength when you're attacking foreign cities that follow your religion. So not only are you getting additional combat strength, you're also doing full damage to walls. The walls just absolutely melt. His Tagma unique unit is a knight replacement that is the same strength as a knight baseline, and it's a little bit more expensive, but they get a additional combat strength when they're adjacent to another Tagma. It also increases the combat strength of your religious units if you have to bring your religious units nearby to help get that conversion. Usually you don't need to because of Byzantium's abilities. The Tagma being more expensive doesn't really matter either, because Byzantium's Hippodrome is a half-price entertainment complex. So you build these really fast. They give you 3 amenities instead of just 1. So already you're helping out the amenities in your cities, giving you that extra 10% boost to all of your yields. Production, food, culture, science, all of those things. Because no, 3 amenities is enough to bring you to the next happiness level. But every time you build it, and every time you build a building inside of it, say the arena or the zoo, you get a free heavy cavalry unit when first constructed, and for each building constructed. These units require no resources to be created or maintained. So this is basically where Abe Lincoln got his ability to get free combat units when building IZs from the Hippodrome ability to give heavy cavalry units when you're building these buildings. No, this is a Byzantium thing. This isn't just Basil. So Theodora will still get free heavy cavalry units, heavy chariots, knights, coursers, tanks, and all the way up to the modern armor. She just doesn't get the Tagma unit. Basil has a little bit of a stronger specific area where he wants to attack, while Theodora can kind of still attack at any point. There's also the Drummond, of course, which is a unit that doesn't get used very much. This is mainly because most people play Byzantium on Pangea maps. However, this quadrireme replacement is still really good. It has an additional 10 combat strength against land and naval units. So it's a really good support vessel to bring into a coastal siege, where it can help just light up a whole bunch of ships or units to help use Byzantium's taxes ability to spread the religion, and even help get sieges actually working on those coastal cities. All this synergizes with the taxes ability here, 3 combat strength and religious strength for all units for each holy city converted to Byzantium's religion, which means there's a really good snowball effect, which really helps scale all of your units in combat strength in either domination or religious victories. You get an additional great profit point per turn from your holy sites, which helps you secure a religion. And Byzantium's religion is spread to nearby cities whenever a unit from an enemy civilization or city-state is defeated. So just like killing apostles spreads religion, killing military units will also spread that religion. This kit under Basil II is so strong because you can attack so fast and just shred through cities. There is one big weakness when it comes to Basil, and that is his spawn location. If you know anything about starting biases in Civ 6, Byzantium has no starting bias, which means he generally gets placed last on the map, and he gets kind of put anywhere, which means you can end up on a map that has barely any woods, or no mountains, no way to get adjacencies for your holy sites, which means your faith income in the early game is very, very low. This is part of why Theodora comes in very, very clutch. She has 2 parts of her ability. The first part I want to talk about right now is that farms provide a standard faith adjacency to holy sites and to their hippodromes. But for instance, in this map, if you were playing Basil, you would have absolutely no faith on your holy sites. Like say you want to place a holy site here, no faith. Maybe you would place it here. You could go for Pantheon River Goddess. River Goddess will give you amenities and housing if you have a holy site next to a river, but that's the most that you can really get out of these 0 adjacency holy sites. But you'll notice with Theodora, when you start placing these farms down, all of a sudden you go from a 0 adjacency holy site to a 5 adjacency holy site. Or you can actually scoot this over, and you can have a full 6 adjacency holy site. This is Peter levels good of holy sites, where you can go desert or Dance of the Aurora, or you can go like Mali and Desert Folklore. And this is the crux of why Theodora is so good. Before we even talk about the culture part, is that no matter where she spawns, you can spawn literally in Tundra and go Dance of the Aurora Pantheon and get really good holy sites. You can spawn in the desert, go Desert Folklore, get really good holy sites. But preferably, you spawn somewhere in a mix of grasslands and plains so that you can use your farms while still having good tiles to work and have a lot of faith per turn, as well as you can double dip on the faith income. So now your hippodromes also will be generating faith based on the farms around them. This cleans up Basil's weakness so well that I would say that Theodora might actually even be better than Basil because of her consistency, especially if you play something like multiplayer, where you can't just re-roll maps until you find a map that you like. No, you're gonna play whatever people roll, and someone else is gonna have a good spawn, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. You can also have some really good farm triangles once you get to feudalism that really help pretty much anything you need. Now, Theodora won't get the Tagma. However, all of this faith income will work really well with Grand Master's Chapel. So the tier 2 government building, where you can start faith buying military units. Who needs Tagmas when you can just have more units, right? Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, to talk a little bit about this culture adjacency again, I thought having a double dip of choral music plus work ethic would have been really strong, which is something that actually India does. India here receives the follower belief bonuses in a city from each religion that has at least 1 follower, which means that whether you're Gandhi or Chandragupta, you can actually benefit from every single follower belief in a game. Technically, you could be benefiting from choral music, divine inspiration, feed the world, Jesuit education, as many religions that are in the game. You can benefit from them, but it's a very hard to set up, and it relies a lot on the AI spreading their religion to you. So I thought Theodora being able to just take 2 faiths for herself would have been enough to make her a good civ without being overpowered, because there is precedent for a mechanic like this. However, this is just better. Remember, with choral music, you have to actually build your shrines and your temples to get the culture. Shrines and temples provide culture equal to their intrinsic faith output. Shrines start with 2 faith, temples start with 4 faith. Those can scale with when you find your city-states. If you find faith city-states, those will increase the amount of faith you're getting from your shrines and temples, which would also increase your culture, but that takes time to ramp. This, you get the culture immediately. As soon as you place the holy site down, you start getting this culture, which is absolutely fantastic, which will help you fly through this culture tree very, very quickly. That means getting a early oligarchy for a military push if you want to, early theology, which also will give you additional holy site adjacency. You know, early feudalism, early monarchy, early theocracy, all of these things you'll get to faster and faster, because in a domination game, most of the time you're focusing on some commercial hubs so you can maintain your armies, and you'll be focusing on a little bit of science so you can get a tech lead. So you can get that tech advantage so you can go ahead and kill your enemies with more powerful units than they have. But with Byzantium, you want to go holy sites and you want to go hippodromes. So the last thing you're thinking about is theater squares. The very, very last thing you're thinking about is theater squares, which means getting this culture from your holy sites instead of worrying about getting culture from theater squares and from monuments and everything else that you need, means that you can fly through this culture tree very, very quickly. And you're going to need it. You're going to need it for the oligarchy. You're going to need it for theology. You're going to need it for military training, mercenaries, so you can upgrade your units as you go. Theology, so you can faith buy your units for cheaper. And all the way up to like nationalism, where you start getting cores, which is another boost to your military. And then of course mobilization, when you get all the way up to armies. This culture is really, really important. And the way that this is set up is so much better than what I thought like just using choral music is. The other really good thing about Theodora's ability synergizing with Taxis is that, remember how we get a great profit point, an extra great profit point whenever you build a holy site? Most of the time when I am going for a religion in a game, I build 2 cities, I'll build 2 holy sites to start getting some great people points for the profit, but I only open with 2 cities. Because you normally need to also build a shrine and maybe project one time just to guarantee a good religion in deity. But with the extra great profit point from a holy site, you don't need that shrine. What you can do instead is you can build a 3rd city and get a 3rd holy site, and now you have a 3 city opener, and you can still guarantee a really good religion, again, with very, very good holy site adjacencies. Like, look at these holy sites. That's absolutely fantastic. I think I might avoid animal husbandry for a little bit just to get your farms down for your adjacency on all of this stuff. Oh my god, a free scout. But look at this. Look at this. This is already 3 plus 5 or 6 holy sites on completely flat land. Combine that with work ethic, but your faith adjacencies also give production. And now you're getting 6 production holy sites, which will then, once you get to theology and run scripture, these will become plus 12 faith, culture, and production holy sites. And it's absolutely fantastic. Now, there's something specific with Theodora that I would try to do. I would try to get a couple of early campuses, because there's specifically one great scientist. Well, go here to the overview tab and go to the scientist tab. This is the real great people mod, by the way, because you want to keep an eye out for Hildegard. This holy site district's faith adjacency provides bonus science as well, which means this plus 12 holy site would be a plus 12 faith, science, culture, and production holy site, all off the back of just farms. That's so good. So I'm thinking Byzantium, you open up with 1, 2, 3 cities, get all of your 3 holy sites down, get your religion, get to work ethic. Next, you might want to open up with a 1 or 2 campuses. So you're going to go astrology into a couple of campuses just to give you a little bit of science throughout the game, but more importantly, to get the great scientist points so that you'll be able to faith by Hildegard when it's time for that to come up. You might want to look out for the Pantheon Divine Spark, which will give you an additional great scientist point when you build your libraries to help you get Hildegard. Also, it will help you give you an additional great person point from your base holy sites. Notice this is without shrines. As Byzantium with Divine Spark, you're getting 3 great profit points per turn from a holy site when everyone else is getting 1. So this is a fantastic pickup, and you can even transition into amphitheater, great works of writing, culture victories later on if you feel like. You should be able to faith buy Hildegard. If you go ahead and you build something like Oracle, it will make faith buying that great scientist even cheaper by another 25%, which is really, really nice. Otherwise, River Goddess for the additional amenities and housing if your holy sites are on rivers. Again, if you want to have farms around your holy sites, rivers are good places to put your holy sites in the first place, so that could be a really good pickup as well. So I would open up holy sites, maybe get a couple campuses, go into currency so that you'll have a little bit of gold returns, so you can manage what you need for your empire in terms of economics, as well as maintaining an army that you're about to spam out. I generally would like to go for early empire, up to state workforce, get your political philosophy so you can get your government unlocked. At this point, you might want to come down to theology, but then this will come up for your hippodromes. Colosseum is definitely a really good opportunity because you'll have a lot of hippodromes. And then come up to military training, feudalism, mercenaries, monarchy, theology, and just like go off to the races in the warfare front. So for instance, like you could build a Colosseum right here in the capital, and then all of a sudden you have some really good theater squares to place later on. But you don't need these theater squares because this is a +4 theater square next to the Colosseum and an entertainment complex. You're getting a +6 culture from your holy site anyway, so you really don't even need to bother with them. Maybe later in the game you build 1 or 2, and if you decide you want to go for a culture victory pivot with Theodora, that is very, very, very doable. Theodora becomes so consistent with her openings and with her faith and her culture adjacencies. Not only that, you're going to have a lot of population because of all of these farms will give you a lot of food. They're going to give you a lot of housing, which means the religious beliefs that you get for your founder belief could be utilized very well here. There's a couple of beliefs that give you yields based off of population. And with going these tall cities, you should have more population than you should have cities. Especially if you're playing it a little bit domination-wise, you will have a lot of cities. So any of these become really good choices. You know, cross-cultural dialogue gives you science based off of every 4 followers that you have of religion. With your high population, this will work really, really well to balance out the amount of culture that you're getting. To give you a little bit of extra science throughout the game. Between those, like 1 or 2 campuses, getting Hildegard and cross-cultural dialogue, you have plenty of science to hold you through the majority of the game. You could also go Tithe to get gold from each of the cities that you follow. This will help you maintain your army. World Church will give you culture for your population, so this is another strong addition of culture. If you combine Theodora's culture ability, the World Church ability, as well as going theater squares, you have a very strong culture lead for a very early tourism win if you choose to go that route. But there's a lot of really good options here, but I would point you to those 3 to start off because they're all very, very good. Yeah, another thing to note is that religious colonization could be really strong here in terms of getting you your instant faith converted to a city when you settle it. But I think Crusade is almost always the pick here for a enhancer belief, because even though that you're not Basil II, Theodora is still Byzantium. So combining the additional combat strength for conquering enemy or converting holy cities, as well as Crusade, will mean she's very, very tough to stop. Very, very tough to stop. And her spawns are so consistent because of this farm adjacency. Again, you're double dipping faith, where you're getting faith from your hippodromes and your holy sites. You're gonna have so much faith, so when you get to Grandmaster's Chapel, you are just off. You are absolutely off to the races when it comes to the faith game, and no one can stop you. I would say, because of her consistency, she's actually a better Byzantium than Basil is. Now, that's a hot take. Byzantium is going to have the fastest domination games that you can get, but Theodora is going to have the same base kit of abilities, but she'll have more culture, she'll have more faith, which means you can faith buy more units, and which means you can, just buy like a couple of extra melee units with a couple of battering rams to take care of the walls that you normally wouldn't be able to otherwise. Which, to be honest, you kind of want to have a couple melee units and also a couple of trebuchets just for these tech boots, regardless, whether or not you're using them to take down walls as Basil II or as Theodora. But, owning 3 line infantry, there's a bunch of tech boosts here that you're going to want to try to hit as you're making your way through the tech tree. But she plays a more normal domination game in terms of the Faith Dom game compared to Basil, but she's still killing units left, right, and center. She is such a good civ and so consistent. And not to mention, imagine you have Sacred Path. Like, I completely forgot to say Sacred Path, where your holy sites get adjacency from rainforest tiles. So if you have, for instance, it doesn't work on this map, but if you had a very hilly start with a lot of rainforest, where you couldn't put farms down, you could still get to your adjacency from freaking rainforest. and have a very strong start. A very, very strong start. No matter where you spawn, you will have a good game with Theodora. You can go ahead and kill a neighbor. You can go for the religious victory. You can go for a domination victory supported by religion. You can go for a little bit of domination and pivot into a culture victory. Hell, with work ethic, you have a lot of production. You could go science victory if you wanted to. Like, you could play her any way, which is why I really like her. So I'm so excited to try her out. But yeah, when I try her out, I'm gonna open up, go 3 holy sites. When you build 3 holy sites, that actually give you a district discount when you unlock your second district, which means you can build 3 holy sites to discount 2 campuses. Once you discount your 2 campuses, you can discount 1 more district. That will probably be, because you're running very quickly through the culture tree, that will probably be your government plaza. So you'll discount that. Then I will be looking at a combination of maybe a couple of commercial hubs, go for theology to get the scripture card, and then come up to hippodromes. Start building hippodromes as I'm going to unlock knights. And you can still do a knight push with Theodora. You don't need the tagmas. Go ahead and attack an enemy and pillage to my heart's content. Maybe I squeeze in an encampment or 2 here to help faith buy those generals. I think Oracle definitely has a place in a Theodora game if you can snag it. A Colosseum definitely has a place. Feudalism, which means extra 2 builder charges, which means 2 more farms, is a really big pickup, as well as your military alliances and getting to theocracy, and then just pillaging your way through the rest of the culture and science trees. Very, very excited to try her out, and depending on what the map gives you, you're either building lots of farms, you're picking Sacred Path or a different pantheon to help you with faith adjacencies. She's absolutely a fantastic addition to the Byzantium world because she allows you to play a religious dom game with a similar but yet a different enough way than Basil. So I think she's a very, very effective civ in giving you a new playstyle, as well as helping you learn the importance of your district adjacencies. Absolutely through the roof with how good she is. Very, very excited to try her out. And honestly, I might just play this map. I really want to actually see what a 0 holy site into plus 12 faith, culture, production, and science holy site. Like that could be a good short. That would be a really good short. And I have a couple of campuses here I could do. Like oh my goodness, I'm so ready to make this a thing. So ready to make this a thing. So if you want to see this actual map played out, feel free to stick around, subscribe. I'll make a video on it, and I'm just looking so forward to it. The reason why I haven't started is because these videos are supposed to be my pre-playing the Civ. What is my analysis and what do I think about all this is? This is a first reaction video, and at least I give the opportunity to at least get the gears turning in your head. How would you apply some of these things I've thought of in your Civ games? What would you change? What would you do? It's an open conversation. Please feel free to leave down comments down below if I've missed anything about your ideas of how to play Byzantium. And also, at this point, what do you think is better? Byzantium led by Basil, who gets Tagmas, who have an additional 4 combat strength compared to other knight units, as well as full damage to city walls, and just going and absolutely just speeding through the domination victory. Or Theodora, who just has more faith, more culture, more yields in general, so a better sim throughout, while also either going for domination or another victory condition. Also, come by the Twitch channel at whiteandnerdytv. This is where we reacted to the original announcement of the leader abilities. We all talked at length about what we thought about them, and we are now streaming each of the civs. I'm playing a Ludwig playthrough right now, and then of course Theodora will be next, so come by whiteandnerdytv. We stream Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to see you there. If you like this kind of content, I'll be doing more analysis of, say, Zhang and Ludwig. I also have a couple of other videos with each of the previous ruler packs, so go ahead and check those out there.